Hello students, this video I'm going to discuss some topics on the chapter 3 that is paying banker. So the contents I'm going to cover for this session is first one, statutory protection for paying banker, consequences of wrongful dishonor, meaning of checks, salient features or characteristics of a check, advantages and importance of check, different kinds or types of check which may ask for 15 marks question, types of crossing, again it can be asked for 15 marks question. So let us see the first point or first topic, that is statutory protection for paying banker. So even if the bank is performing the activity or if he is operating the activity as a paying banker, he can claim the statutory protection under certain act or certain law only if he performs certain duties or if he performs certain responsibilities. So first one, the statutory protection will be given for the paying banker in the case of crossed check. So we already know that the meaning of crossed check, it is nothing but the customer is giving the instruction to the banker to make the payment not to the customer and but the payment has to be transferred to the customer account. So in such case, if the paying banker received any cross check from the customer, he need to transfer the amount to the customer account, not to make the payment through the counter of the bank. So in such a case, if you follow the rules and regulations and if you transfer the amount to the customer account, then you can claim the statutory protection. Second point, we can claim the statutory protection in the case of material alteration. So we already know that the material alteration is nothing but any changes or any alteration which has been done on the check or the negotiable instrument. So before making any payment to the customer, the paying banker has to check whether any alteration has been done on the negotiable instrument or check. So if we see that any alteration has been taken place, then you need to get the signature from the customer, and after that he is supposed to make the payment. So if we follow such procedure and if we get the signature of the customer and if he makes the payment, then in such a case he can claim the statutory protection if any fault or if any damages arises. Third one, bearer check. So here the bank can get the protection if he makes the payment in a due course, means when he accept the check and he makes the payment, he can claim the protection without any suspicious or without any doubt. If he makes the payment feeling that whatever the check which has been provided by the customer is correct or it is genuine. So bearer check is nothing but just the customer is providing the check or the instrument, and the customer or the bank will verify all the formats or forms, and if the bank is satisfied, then is supposed to make the payment. So in such a case also the bank can claim the statutory protection. And last point, in the case of forged endorsement. So before making any payment for the endorsement instrument, that is called as, if any check or if any negotiable instrument has to be transferred from one person to the another person, it will be called as endorsement process. So in the case of endorsement, the paying banker, before making the payment, you need to clearly check who is endorsed and who is received the check or the negotiable instrument, and whether the endorsement has been taken place properly or correct. So after verifying that, and if he makes the payment, then he can claim the statutory protection. Second point or second pointing topic is consequences of wrongful dishonor. So we have already seen that there is a chances of dishonor or the cancellation of check. So in the dishonor of checks, there are two types. One, it is called as rightful dishonor, and second one is wrongful dishonor. So rightful dishonor is nothing but there are certain rules and regulations which has to be followed by the customer while he drawing the check or while he preparing the check. So if in case if the customer has not followed any rules and regulations, either it may be date or it may be time or it may be amount or it may be words or it may be in the form of signature. So if he not follow the rules and regulations of the check, and if the bank feels that he is not followed the rules and regulations, he has the right to cancel the check or he has the right to dishonor the check. It is nothing but cancellation of payment. That will be called as rightful dishonor. But second point or second classification is that wrongful dishonor means due to the negligence, due to the carelessness of the employees of the bank, if the check which satisfy all the conditions, if the instrument has been dishonored or be cancelled, then that will be called as wrongful dishonor of check. So in such a case, there are certain consequences which has to be faced by the bank due to the wrongful dishonor. First one, bank should compensate for the loss incurred by the customer. So if in case it is a wrongful dishonor, either it may be negligence or the carelessness of the employees, then whatever the loss which has been suffered by the customer, it has to be compensated by the bank. Second, damages will be more than actual amount in the case of trader account. Means the amount which has been drawn on the check, either it may be 10,000. So due to the negligence or due to the carelessness of the employees, if they dishonor, it will be called as wrongful dishonor. So the amount is not the amount which has been mentioned on the instrument or check. The compensation will be more than the amount which has been mentioned in the check. Means the amount has been mentioned on the instrument is 10,000 rupees, but the compensation will be more than the 10,000 rupees. So that's why they given the point that damages will be more than the actual amount in the case of trader account. Third one, for trader account, damage will be nominal. Fourth one, amount claimed by the customer need not depend on actual losses. So I have already given that example. If we suffered any losses, that is maybe 10,000 or 20,000, the damages or amount claimed by the customer may not be equal to the actual losses. It may be more than the actual losses. And last one, customer can declare substantial damages without having financial losses. Even without suffering any losses, we can claim the or you can file the case against the bank and you can get the damages. So these are the consequences which has to be faced by the paying banker because of the wrongful dishonor. Important topic for 2 marks question, or they may ask for 2 marks question, the meaning of check. So already we know that check is nothing but it's a negotiable instrument which can be transferable from one person to the another person. But actual meaning says that check is nothing but it's an instrument which is in a written form which containing an unconditional order, means without any conditions. Means if you are not paying this, I will make the or I'll fail this. So without any unconditional order, and it has to be signed by the drawer, that is the person who is going to prepare or who is going to draw the instrument, and requiring the bank, that is called as drawing, that the person who is supposed to make the payment to pay on demand a certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. So check is nothing but it's an instrument which is in a written form which has to be prepared with content which is not containing any unconditional order, and it has to be signed by the drawer, and is giving the instruction to the bank, that is called as drawing, to pay the amount to a certain person when he demands or when the order arises for a certain person or the person name which has been mentioned on the instrument. So that will be called as check. So it is nothing but it's a negotiable instrument. Next, we have the salient features or characteristics of a check. So it may ask for 5 marks question. So just look it out. What are the characteristics or what are the features of the check? First one, a check must be in a writing. So always the check should be in a written form. Checks contains an unconditional order without any conditions. They are supposed to read the or they are supposed to make the check or they are supposed to prepare the checks. Third one, check is drawn by customer on his bank, means the person who is going to prepare the or who is going to draw the check, he will be called as drawer, and who is going to give the instructions, means for whom he is going to give the instructions, that is called as bank, he will be called as drawee. The fourth one, check must be signed by the customer. Always the check will be valid only if the instrument has been signed by the customer who having the account. Fifth one, check must be payable on demand. Whenever the check has been presented before the due date, and then only he is supposed to make the payment. Only on the demand basis he need to make the payment. Next one, check must mention exact amount to be paid. There should be no any differences or mismatches between the amount and the words. Clear amount has to be mentioned on the instrument. Check must be certain to whom payment is made. They need to clearly mention the name of the party for whom the payment has to be made by the bank. Next, check must be duly dated by the customer of bank. Means they need to clearly mention the date on the check, because the date can be seen by the date will be verified by the bank. Then after verification, then you will pay the amount, because there may be a post dated check, or it may be antedated check, or it may be stale check. So in order to verify or in order to check that, the date which has to be clearly mentioned by the customer of the bank. And in the check or in the transaction of the check, we can see the three parties. One, it is called as drawer, the person who is going to draw the instrument. Second one, we have the drawee, that is the person who is going to make the payment. And last one is called as drawer payee, that is the person who is going to collect the amount from the drawee. So here the drawer, that is the person who is going to prepare or draw the instrument, can also be the payee. And last one, no acceptance required. So these are the salient features of the or characteristics of the check which may ask for the 5 marks question. Next we have advantages and importance of check. So to say in simple terms, when we are using the instrument called as check, we can have the more advantages when compared to the net banking or any other transactions. First one, it can be a safety method of payment, because we have given the instructions. With our instructions only, the bank will make the payment to the other parties. So we can have the safety method of payment. Second, funds easily transferable. So we can easily transfer from one person to the one another person, or one account to the another account by using the instrument called as check. Third one, there will be a safety of money, because the bank, they will take all the information like customer, their signature, amount, and any proof from the person who is going to deposit the or who is going to present the check. So it says safety of money in the account. Fourth one, serves as a receipt. It is nothing but we are giving the proof, or the bank is collecting as this check as a receipt or proof. So whenever any problem arises, the bank can show it as a proof, or the customer can also be shown it as a proof, as a receipt. Fifth one, serving in the use of currency, means in place of cash, we are using the checks. Last one, we can be used for the credit facilities also. Means whenever we want to take any amount in the form of credit, we can provide the check, and by taking the proof or by taking the instrument, they'll collect that check, and they oppositely they'll make the payment. That is called as credit. So these are the advantages and importance of checks. Next, we have the important concept called as different kinds or types of checks. They may ask for 15 marks question. First, the checks has been classified into two parts. One, it is called as open check, and second one, it is called as crossed check. So to say in simple terms, open check is nothing but it's an instructions which has been given by the bank, so given by the customer to the bank, that whoever present the check, they are supposed to make the payment. So there is no any specific instructions which has been given by the customer to the bank. So the person who has the check or the instrument, he can take that, and if he present to the bank, and if he satisfy all the conditions which is necessary for the check, and if the bank verify the check, and if he feels that the instrument is correct, then he will make the payment. So that checks will be called as open check. Means it is nothing but any person can go and present the check, and he can get the amount from the bank. Cross check, yes, cross check is nothing but the amount will not be payable to the customer and directly by the bank at the counter. That amount will be transferred to the customer account. But in the open check, the bank is going to pay the amount to the customer at the counter of the bank only. But in the crossed check, the amount will not paid by the bank to the customer through the counter. They're going to make the payment or they're going to transfer the amount to the customer account directly. That is the difference between open check as well as the crossed check. And open check has already classified into two parts. One, it is called as bearer check and order check. So bearer check is nothing but the person who is holding the check or the instrument, if you present that, and he can get the amount. But in the order check, the customer who is going to draw the check or who is going to prepare the check is giving the specific instructions to the bank that the person who has been mentioned on the person name who has been mentioned on the check is supposed to get the amount, or the bank has to make the payment to only for the such person name which has been mentioned in the instrument. That is called as order check. So bearer check is nothing but any person who holds the instrument, if he presents that, he can get the amount. But in the order check, the customer is giving the clear instructions or the order to the bank that they are supposed to make the payment only to the person name which has been mentioned on the instrument. That is the order check. So they have given the explanation. When a check is not crossed, it is known as open check and uncrossed check. So the payment of such a check can be obtained at the counter of the bank. A open check may be bearer check or an order one. So what is the meaning of bearer check? The words or bearer appearing on the face of the check are not cancelled. The check is also called as bearer check. In other words, a check which is payable to any person who presents it for payment at the bank's counter is called bearer check. Means I already explained that the person who is holding the check, if he present that, and he can get the amount from the bank at the counter of the bank only. That type of check or the instrument will be called as bearer check. But there is another check called as order check. So already we know that they're giving the clear instructions or the order to the bank that they're supposed to pay only to a certain person. So order check is one which is payable to a particular person. So in such a case or in such a check, the word bearer may be cut off or cancelled and the word order may be written. The pay can transfer an order check to someone else by endorsement. So these are the classification of open check. And we have the other types of checks also. One, it is called as cross check. So we already know that cross check is nothing but where the two parallel lines will be drawn at the corner or at the end of the check with or without the words called as company, account payee or not negotiable. So here in the cross check, whenever the bank is collecting any cross check, the amount will not pay directly to the customer and at the counter of the bank. The amount will be transferred to the bank account of the customer. That is the difference between open as well as the crossed, sorry, open as well as the crossed check. And we have the next one called as post dated check. Means the customer has written the date or they have drawn the date on the date called as, for example, 8th 12 8 5 2020 is drawing the check, but he has written the date called as 20th 5 2020. So that check has to be presented only on the 20th 5th 2018, not before that. So that instrument or that type of check will be called as post dated check. So they have given the example that if a check presented on 5th May 2013 bears a date of May 10th May 2014, it is a post dated check. Actually, the date has been written on the instrument is 10th May 2014, but is presenting on 5th May 2013. That is called as post dated checks. Next, we have the antedated checks. So, if a check bears a date earlier than the date on which it is presented to the bank, it is called as antedated check. So, same example will be applicable for antedated checks. Next, we have the stale check. There is a chance of asking for 2 marks question. Even the post-dated checks or the cross check, they can ask for 2 marks question. So stale check is nothing but there are certain expiry date for the checks which has already drawn. Means maximum there is a usually there are 6 months which will be provided by the bank for the transaction or for the check instrument. Means if you have drawn the check that can be valid up to 6 months. And after 6 months, if you're presenting that check, then that instrument will be cancelled or it will not be considered. So that type of instrument will be called as, or that instrument will be called as stale check. So a check which is issued today must be presented at bank for payment within a stipulated period, usually 6 months. After expiry of that period, no payment will be made and it is then called stale check. So within a expiry period, we need to submit or we need to present the check. But if you're presenting after the expiry date, the payment will not be made by the bank and such type of check will be called as stale check. Next, we have the crossing of checks. So we already know that the crossing of check is nothing but just drawing the parallel lines on the face of the check. That is nothing but drawing two parallel lines or two transfer parallel lines on the end or on the top of the left hand side of the checks with or without the words called as and company account pay not negotiable. Means when you see the specimen copy of the check or the instrument and at the corner of the left hand side, top of the left hand side, if you see any two parallel lines which has been drawn, then that amount, that instruction, that check will be called as crossing of check. So there is a chance of asking for 2 marks question. What is the meaning of crossing of check? So crossing of check is nothing but just drawing the two transverse parallel lines on the top of the or left hand side of the instrument with or without additional words like and company, account pay or negotiable instrument. So they're given the specimen of crossing of check. You can observe these are the specimens of crossing of check. Either it can be two parallel lines with or without the word called as and company, account pay and not negotiable. Next, we have the important topic called as types of crossing. So what is the meaning of types or what is the different types of crossing? Let us see. First one we have general crossing. So according to section 123 of Negotiable Instrument Act, when there are two transverse parallel lines marked across its face or the check bears the words and company or not negotiable or account pay between the two parallel lines. So it is just similar to the crossing of check that will be called as general crossing. Means either it may be two parallel lines at the corner of the check, either it may be with or without the word called as and company, not negotiable or account pay. That will be called as general crossing. Second classification, there are certain significance or essentials and importance of general crossing. So let us see one by one. The effect of general crossing is that it gives a direction to the paying banker. So already we have discussed regarding the crossing of check. It is nothing but it is giving the directions to the bank to make the payment to the customer through the or to the account or the customer's account. Second one, the direction is that the paying banker should not pay the check at the counter. So we already discussed in the previous slides. What you need to do in order to make the payment to the customer at the counter of the bank, it should be paid only to the fellow banker. Means you need to transfer the amount to the customer's account. Third one, the main intention of crossing of a check is to give protection to it, prevented from getting that check cashed at the counter of paying banker. In order to give the protection to the customer, even the checks can be crossed. And last one, if a crossed check is paid at the counter, the paying banker will lose his statutory protection. We already discussed in the first slide. If the paying banker want to get the statutory protection in the case of cross check, only if he transfers the amount to the customer's account, then only he can claim the statutory protection. If he get the cross check and if he makes the payment to the customers at the counter, he cannot claim the statutory protection. So these are the essentials or significance or importance of general crossing. Next, we have the second classification called as special crossing. So according to section 124 of the Negotiable Instrument Act refers to special crossing where a check bears across its face in addition to the name of the banker either with or without the words or the words not negotiable, then the check is said to be being crossed specially. So they have clearly said that the special crossing is nothing but according to section 124 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, where a check bears the two parallel lines on the left hand side of the top of the check either with or without the words in addition to the bank name, that is they need to clearly mention the bank name, and after mentioning the bank name, if you mention the words called as and company, account payee and not negotiable, then it will be called as special crossing. Means they're giving the clear instructions to the banker that they need to pay only to the such bank only. That is the main objective of special crossing. Means in the general crossing, they're not mentioning any bank names. They're not giving clear instructions to the paying banker to make only such bank. That is called as general crossing. But in the special crossing, they're giving the clear instructions to the paying banker that they need to transfer only to the particular bank which has been mentioned in the or between the two parallel lines. Either it may be with adding the words called as and company, account pay, or not negotiable. That is the meaning of special crossing. Next, we have significance or essentials of importance of general crossing. So same thing, two parallel transfer lanes are not at all essential for special crossing because they can easily mention or they can write the name of the bank. Second, the name of the bank must necessarily be specified across the face of the check. The name of the banker itself constitutes special crossing. Means there is no any necessary for drawing the two parallel lines in the case of special crossing. So if they can directly write the name of the bank at the top of the or at the end of the check, then it will be considered as an special crossing. Third one, it must appear on the left hand side, preferable on the corner. And fourth one, two parallel transfer line and the words not negotiable can be added to special crossing. Either it can be added or it may not be added. So these are the significance, essentials or importance of the special crossing. Okay. Next, we have the third classification called as, or third type of crossing is called as account pay or restrictive crossing. So let us see the meaning of account pay or restrictive crossing. This crossing can be made in both general and special crossing by adding the words account payee. In this type of crossing, the collecting banker is supposed to credit the amount of the check to the account of the payee only. So the difference is that in this type of crossing can be done in the general crossing or the special crossing. In the general crossing, we are not drawing the name or we are not writing the name of the bank, but we are going to add the words called as and account pay. But in the special crossing, we are mentioning clearly the name of the bank for whom the paying banker has to make the payment by adding the word called as and account pay. So what is that account pay says that it is in this type of crossing, the collecting banker is supposed to credit the amount of the check to the account of the payee only. Means they need to transfer the amount only to such account which has been maintained by the person who is going to receive the amount. The effect of restrictive crossing is that payment of the check will be made by the bank to the collecting banker only for the account payee name. Whomever the name which has been mentioned on the check, for such person only or for such bank person's bank account only, the amount will be transferred. That's why it is called as account pay or restrictive crossing. Means they're giving the restrictions that they're going to transfer or they're supposed to transfer the amount only to the person called as payee, the name which has been mentioned on the checks. Next, we have the not negotiable crossing. So let us see the meaning of not negotiable crossing. Not negotiable crossing, a check cross not negotiable can be transferred like any other checks, but the transferee cannot obtain a better title than that of the transferer. So transfer is nothing but the person who is going to transfer the check, but the transfer is nothing but the person who is going to or to whom the check has been issued or the transferred. He will be called as transferee. Transferer, the person who is going to transfer or circulate the check. The person who is going for whom he is going to transfer, he will be called as transferee. In the case of not negotiable crossing, the preference will be or the importance will be given only for the person who is going to transfer the check, not to the person who is going to receive the check. The main object of this type of crossing is to give the protection to the true owner of the check by preserving his right against any subsequent owner. So they are given the example that A buys a car from B, A writes out A buys a car from B. So B is the owner and A is going to purchase the car. So A has to pay the amount to B. So A writes out a check cross not negotiable. B has a right to the funds from A's check as the payee. And the fact that he has given value, he can issue A if the check is dishonored. So if in case the check has been cancelled by the bank, they have given the right to the person called as payee, that is called as payee. You can file the case against the person who has already issued the check. So this is called as not negotiable crossing. And next we have the double crossing. So double crossing, we can see the specimen copy. By seeing the specimen copy, we can easily understand that in the double crossing, there are two bank names will be mentioned or written between the two parallel lines. So there are Indian Bank as well as the State Bank of India. So if the two bank names has been mentioned between the two parallel lines, then such transaction or such crossing will be called as